Welcome, everyone, to the HBCU Game Day studios here in Atlanta, and we could not be more excited to preview the first game of the HBCU season. The Florida A&M Rattlers will take on the Norfolk State Spartans at Center Park Stadium, the home field of the Georgia State Panthers. And I'm joined today by Stephen J. Gaither. Stephen, are you ready for some football, man?
Behold, it is time to play the game.
Yes, it seems like as soon as the season ends, we can't wait until it starts again. And to be back here in Atlanta, we were here for the Celebration Bowl, and to come back for the MEAC SWAC Challenge, the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge, and the Cricket Celebration Bowl. We thank them for all their sponsorships. But we're just ready to tee it up and kick it off.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's now become a thing that Atlanta is the bookend of the college football season for HBCUs, and actually this kicks off the national coverage of college football as well. It's going to be on ABC, so it's great to be back here in Atlanta. It's a different feel now, and it'll be a different feel in December, but it's here, so let's get started.
Now, we got two teams with different last years, and going into this year, we're going to see if Dawson Odoms can turn around the Norfolk State Spartans from their 3-8 record last season. Florida A&M has a different job, replacing Willie Simmons with James Cozy III. Now the task for him is to see if he can continue the winning ways of the Rattler program after a 12-1 season that ended hoisting the Celebration Bowl trophy last season.
Yeah, I think I look at this game, there's so many things that make it interesting besides being the first game of the season. I think both coaches are under a different type of pressure. Dawson Odoms now in his fourth year over at Norfolk State University. In the MEAC, we've had three different teams win it in 3 different years. And so it seems like everybody's getting a turn in this new MEAC, and when is it going to be Norfolk State's turn? We don't know. And then you've got Coach Cozy over at Florida A&M, who's stepping in the shoes of a giant, which is a tough thing to do, and inheriting a national championship team. And when they get out on the field, nobody's going to care that Coach Simmons isn't there, and nobody's going to care that Musa isn't there, and whoever else. And obviously their fans are going to have their expectations, and he's their guy. So it's a lot at stake riding on this one game. We learned last year you don't want to have too much of an overreaction off one game, but I'm thinking it's probably still going to be the same thing. Yes,
and we've got quite different scenarios at starting quarterback for both schools as well. I beg to say that both schools will be starting somebody at quarterback that they may not have thought at the end of last year would be starting at quarterback. For Norfolk State, the preseason prediction for the first team starting quarterback, Coons, did not quite make the roster this year. He had an issue. He'll be out 4 games with NCAA issues. And Jalen Daniels will get the start for the Norfolk State Spartans. For the Rattlers, and as you watch, the starting lineups for both teams got head coach Dawson Odoms entering his 4th season. And at Florida A&M, you'll have Coach James Cozy III entering his 1st season as head coach. He was on the staff last year. He was recommended by Coach Willie Simmons and ultimately was hired to take over the Rattlers. As we move forward to the offensive starters for the Norfolk State Spartans, you got Samuel Eskridge will be at left tackle. I know that says guard, but hey, it's the beginning of the season. Jaden Bryant will be the left guard. At center, Garrison Wheatley, who's an all-MEAC selection, will be at center. Daryl McMillan will be your right guard. And Vincent Bird Jr. will be your right tackle, and that is your bigs up front. Aaron Moore will be at Z wide receiver. Gregory Perkins, a big body, will be at tight end for the Spartans. Jalen Daniels, there you see him, he will be the starting quarterback. Cameron Thomas is your X wide receiver, and Jaquez Jones will be your H back. Kevon King, also a second team all-MEAC selection, will be your running back. And now we look at the Rattler starters. Jalen Goss, the left tackle, all SWAC. Ashton Grable at left guard. The guy in the center, Cesar Reyes, At the right guard, another All-SWAC selection, TJ Lee, and a huge human being, Elijah Philippe. Carter Johnson comes in from Pittsburgh. He'll be the starting tight end, and Jeremiah Pruitt starts at H-back. Jamari Gassett, All-SWAC selection, will be at the Z wide receiver. Jalen Rogers, the speedy guy, will be at the F wide receiver, and Ace Cobb will be at the X wide receiver. Bo Somerset steps up and takes the first slot at running back, and of course, Daniel Richardson is the starting quarterback, the signal caller. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. Now let's look at the defensive starters. Sage Bouchard Irvine will be defensive tackle. Levante Jacobs at defensive tackle. Marcus Mounty at nose tackle. Keyshawn Lynch, an all-MEAC selection, will be at defensive end. A.J. Richardson, also an all-MEAC selection, will be at the Mike linebacker. Tariq Miles will be at the will linebacker. Dalen Long will be the Sam linebacker. Teron Mallory will be a cornerback. Ricky Halston is your rover back. Jaden Smith is the free safety, a speedy guy who can cover a lot of area. Devon Allen is at one quarterback. And now let's look at the Rattler defensive starters. Davion Westmoreland, another huge human being, will be starting at defensive end. James Ash, an all-SWAC selection. Cameron Donald will be at nose guard. Alan Smith Jr. is a Fang linebacker for the Rattlers. Eric Horn will be the strike linebacker. Jerome Nichols is the middle linebacker taking over. Jamil Sanders is outside linebacker. Andre Powell Jr. is the other outside linebacker. Deco Wilson is your free safety at all-SWAC selection. Kendall Bowler, several All-American selections, is looking to anchor that defense. Amari Lee at cornerback. And now let's look at the specialists, which could play a vital role in the game tomorrow. Toby Willis is your long snapper. Can't start without a good snap. Brandon Wilcox, an all-MEAC selection at place kicker. Noah Tracy at punter, an all-MEAC selection. Jalen Laudermilk at punt returner. And Teron Biles-Walker is your kick returner. Special teams for the Rattlers, who is highly acclaimed. Cameron Gillis is an all-SWAC selection at place kicker. Trey Wilhoit, an all-American selection at punter. Baylor Payan as the long snapper. Jamari Gassett, an all-MEAC selection, all-SWAC selection, will be kick returner. And Jalen Rogers checks back in as the punt returner. So we look at those selections. There is a lot of talent on both of these teams, a lot of all-MEAC and all-SWAC selection, as well as All-Americans.
Yeah, I think for sure this is a game where, again, you got Norfolk State kind of in the MEAC. They're kind of on the back end, only a 16 league, but every game in the MEAC, for the most part, is a battle. So it's their record and what they've had going on, but they also have a team that is now in the fourth year under, coming into the fourth year under Dawson Odom. When he got there late in 2021, and he kind of had to work with what he had. Got a 6-5 season out of those guys, but the last couple of years, they had some off the field issues previously in Norfolk State, and so they had to do some wholesale changes. And they've done that. And Coach Odoms is a guy obviously who coached over at Southern, won a SWAC title over at Southern, had those guys in contention pretty much every year. And he's a veteran coach. Last year, started off rocky. They lose to one rival, a D2 rival, Virginia State, and then they go over and beat their D1 rival over at Hampton. A lot of close games last year for Norfolk State University, and so for them, they're feeling like, okay, we have this C word that we don't hear a lot in college football anymore, and that's continuity. And so I think for them, they're going to have to hang their hat on, hey, guys, we've been through this before. We've been through the fire before. I know that, they know that they are the underdog from what has been viewed now as the underdog conference, just only having 6 schools. So I expect them to come out here with a chip on their shoulder. They're not going to talk about it a lot. That's not what Dawson Odoms does, and his team now reflects who he is. And so, it's definitely going to be fun. And I really don't know what to expect, to be honest with you.
Several different contrasts in the game. You got the orange and green versus the green and gold. You got Dawson Odoms, who was in the SWAC. He's now in the MEAC. And you got FAMU, who was in the MEAC, who is now in the SWAC. So several continuity things going on there. FAMU holds a 15-3 record against Norfolk State historically. And this will be Norfolk State's first time playing in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. FAMU is 1-1, losing to Southern and defeating Mississippi Valley State before. The MEAC is 11-5 against the SWAC overall in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. And this will be the first time FAMU and Norfolk State have faced each other since 2019. Once again, this is the fourth season for Dawson Odoms. We know his success at Southern University, but coming back to the MEAC. And of course, this is the first tenure for FAMU head coach James Colsey. And of course, all eyes will be on Colsey. When you take over a team who has won the Celebration Bowl and literally took University of South Florida to the fourth quarter, where they just had their worst quarter of the entire season. A lot of people, including myself, who was at the game, really thought FAMU should have beat USF, but they kept shooting themselves in the foot, picked themselves back up, and then continued to go undefeated for the rest of the season. All eyes are on the Rattlers. As you look at some of the polling, some of the polls recognize, hey, they got a lot of people returning. They picked up a lot of people in the portal. They did a good job of recruiting, and that was reflected in some of the polls. Some polls, not so much. Some polls, the Rattlers are down in the middle. You have, even in the SWAC, they were picked second in the East behind Alabama State. Trust me, they posted that up on the on the locker room, and I think that probably is a good thing, Stephen. When a team comes from the top, it's really kind of hard sometimes to stay motivated. Michael Jordan used to say he used to find anything, to stay motivated, and that's how he stayed on top of his game. So I actually think that was a positive as far as the Rattlers picking them second to get them motivated to go into this 2024 season.
Yeah, I definitely could understand how they would feel that. I felt like even before we knew Coach Simmons wasn't coming back, there were going to be some key guys that they were going to have to patch up, right? Musa was going to be gone. Isaiah Major. I mean, anytime you lose the offensive and defensive players of the year in your conference, you're going to have to replace them. Those are big holes already. So I felt, but when you add in Coach Colsey coming in new, and then the folks that did leave in the transfer portal, and obviously they got new guys too. But I think it's going to be the question about how they gel. It's kind of similar in a lot of ways to last year again, where we saw Coach T.C. Taylor taking over for Coach after Coach Prime left. Everybody's and half their team left. They had to replace a lot of guys. Not quite as many here at FAMU. But, you do Ryan Smith, the defensive coordinator, gone as well. Some other guys that were integral to what FAMU had become have left as well. And so, there is that question of how is everything going to go on a game day. I think those are questions that everybody's waiting to be answered. And, Coach Colsey and his guys are going to have to answer that on a big stage. You start off at the MEAC SWAC Challenge, and then we'll go to next week where you have to host South Carolina State, who's coming in hot with a brand new head coach and trying to defend that win streak at Bragg. So it's a tough task for Coach Colsey in these first couple of games. So it's going to be, really huge to see how things go on Saturday night.
Absolutely. And it is HBCU football, and you know what that means. It means halftime. At halftime, it'll be the Marching 100 facing off against the Spartan Legion. We love our HBCU bands. So what we're going to do is we're going to run down a few of the polls, and then we're going to give you a little taste of the bands. The Stats Perform FCS Top 25 poll has the Rattlers at number 11. The FCS Coaches poll has the Rattlers at 25. The Box to Row FCS HBCU Football Media poll has the Rattlers at number 1 with 16 votes, and followed by North Carolina Central with 3 votes. Then Howard University and Alabama State with 2 first-place votes. NCAA Digital HBCU Power Rankings is a little different. It has Alabama State at number 1, North Carolina Central at number 2, Jackson State at number 3, Howard at number 4, and Florida A&M at number 5. Norfolk State will come in at 12, but that this ranking reflects just what you said, Stephen. People being unsure that if the Rattlers, unsure whether the Rattlers were able to replace the head coach, the offensive play caller, and the defensive coordinator, as well as several key players. So that's kind of a reflection in the NCAA Digital HBCU Power Rankings. In box to row, it has Florida A&M at number 1 with 11 first-place votes, followed by North Carolina Central with 2 first-place votes. And for the MEAC predicted order of finish, North Carolina Central comes in at number 1, Howard comes in at number 2, Morgan State at number 3, South Carolina State at number 4, Norfolk State at number 5, and Delaware State, who did make their way to Hawaii, comes in at number 6. And that was quite an interesting start to the season, the Delaware State Hornets and the flight and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Unfortunate for those guys. Good for us. But, yeah, no, it's definitely, just, and as we see the Spartan Legion here, you talk about the bands too. We're now into the second year of the Band of the Year by ESPN. We'll be bringing you guys those ratings again. And so a lot of excitement there. Again, obviously the Marching 100 is definitely, one of the premier bands and most well-known bands in HBCU and all over the world. And I think the Spartan Legion, I think we could see the Spartan Legion back here in December, whether or not Norfolk State makes it to December. So it's going to be fun.
All right. While we're going, let's take a look at some of the, like I said, this is an all-star game as we're watching the Marching 100 on your screen in Bragg Stadium. Let's take a look at some of the preseason all-MEAC players from Norfolk State. Obviously, the first team selection at quarterback was Otto Coons based on his season last year. We hope he can get back in Game 5 and possibly reclaim his glory from last season. They had 3 players make the first team all-MEAC defensive. Keshawn Lynch at defensive lineman, linebacker A.J. Richardson, and defensive back Teron Mallory. They all made first team all-MEAC. As far as all-MEAC second team offense, their running back, Norfolk State running back Kevon King, center Garrison Wheatley, offensive lineman Samuel Eskridge, and offensive lineman Vincent Bird Jr. And for second team defense, linebacker Dalen Long and defensive back Devon Allen. And as far as specialists on the second team, every one of them made it. Return specialist Jalen White, place kicker Grandon Wilcox, and punter Noah Tracy. That lets you know that Norfolk State has a good special teams unit, and that could be important in a game like tomorrow where you're starting off. You don't want any big glaring errors on special teams.
Yeah, I think for sure, so many new pieces for FAMU, a lot of times that can lead to snaps, little things like that. And then you talk about special teams, I think that could definitely be important. Again, where we got one team that, most of their key guys are back. You got another team where they've lost a lot of the key guys and people are in new positions or have new pressure on them, at least that much. A missed PAT, a fumbled, a bad punt snap, yes. Any of that stuff. And obviously, you're a former All-American on special teams, so you know how that goes. It's one of those things could be overlooked. We're talking about everything else, but that could be the deciding factor in the game if it gets close. And we talked about the superlatives for the Spartans. Let's look at some of the superlatives for the Rattlers. You got James Ash, defensive lineman, Phil Steele, all SWAC first team, Hero Sports, ranked as the top 19th defensive tackle in the nation. Jamar Gassett, preseason all SWAC, second team. Phil Steele, preseason, he's on there as a wide receiver and a kick returner. Kendall Bowler's just his list. We would not have time enough to go through his list. He's on the Freak list, the Buchanan Award list, the Stats Perform Player of the Year list, Black College Hall of Fame Player of the Year, the Aeneas Williams, Box to Row. And we're going to stop there, but trust me, the list goes on and on. Kendall Bowler will be one of the premier players in this game. Several scouts have continued to visit practice to take a look at him, so we look for him to be one of the top players in HBCU and all of FCS. Yeah, and we'll go hop into the chat really quickly. I asked for some score predictions, so guys, please go ahead and let us get a couple of those. I did get a pair from, shout out to Tilldog12. He says FAMU 24, NSU 14. Alan Darby says FAMU 24, NSU 17. So people are thinking it's in that 7 to 10 range.
Yes.
28 to 10 for FAMU by Mr. Jackson. We got a 21-17 FAMU by TNT World. So please continue to get those in. And we also were asking about, again, the bands. Again, these are two premier bands. We're talking about this. Shout out to our friend of the show, Nick Eden. Band of the year should have been Norfolk versus Jackson State. That was his opinion. We have Marching 100 is going to win the halftime. Nick Eden likes the Legion at halftime. So a lot of commentary there in the comments. Please let us know what you think. We definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in. But it really exciting time. I mean, it's the beginning of the year. Everything is brand new. Everybody is undefeated. Everybody's winless, but everybody's undefeated. Everybody has that optimism, and everybody's bands, instruments are sparkling. So it's just a fun time of the year now that it is actually here. So we got a 28-7 FAMU from our guy Kim Spears, who's a Grambling guy. So I guess that's about as neutral as you could get, maybe. I don't know. So appreciate everybody for tapping in. Please hit that like button as well. It helps the stream.
And the MEAC SWAC Challenge presented by Cricket is a great way to start off the season. Center Park Stadium is a beautiful stadium. It used to be Ted Turner Field. Obviously, the Braves played there for years, and there are a lot of memorials around there. We lost Hank Aaron, but there are a lot of memorials around it for Hank Aaron. For a long time, it held the Georgia High School State Championships, which has moved over to where the Celebration Bowl is, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's a nice, cozy stadium that will hold both of those bands almost facing each other, so that should be pretty interesting.
No Diddy this year. No, literally, there's no Diddy this year. So,
but it's a great way for cricket to start off the season. The Rattlers do have experience in it. They are 1-1. When Coach Reuben Carter was the head coach at Florida A&M, they lost a game in Birmingham, very close game to Southern University. And then they came back and tied it up. Earl Holmes was the head coach, his first game as a head coach. And the return of the Marching 100 down in Orlando, it was about 120 degrees on the field. The cleats were burning. They had to change cleats at halftime. It was something else. So FAMU is 1-1. This will be Norfolk State's first time playing in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. And it's almost like a bowl feel at the beginning of the year. It's a great opportunity to see where your team stands. 7:30 on ABC. The big lights, the big cameras are here. I just came from the stadium. There's just something great about playing on that stage on a three-letter network, one of the big networks. There will be a lot of eyes on the game this week. So if you're a player, an HBCU player, this is a great opportunity for scouts to see you and to see what you can do. So as we've seen more HBCU players as of late, maybe not as many getting drafted, but a lot more getting an opportunity for camps in the NFL. Currently FAMU has 4 that are doing really well. Marquise Bell was the HBCU Player of the Year in the NFL last year. He's solidified himself. If he has another season like last year, and he kind of actually redefined the position of linebacker that can cover the way he does because he plays safety at Florida A&M. You got Xavier Smith, who's doing well with the Rams, had a big catch last week. Also last week, Isaiah Land got a big sack. And probably the surprise to a lot, but not to me, Terrell Jennings really developed himself last year. He is with the New England Patriots. All of these players showcased themselves in these big games and showed themselves in these big games. It doesn't get any bigger than kicking off at the MEAC SWAC Challenge on ABC tomorrow night at 7:30.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Vaughn, we can't give cricket any more plugs till they cut game day a check. But no, it's definitely a great platform. And I think also you talk about the individual players, but it's also a great platform for Norfolk State University football. Norfolk State, again, you look at FAMU and they're a blue blood of HBCU football, no disputing that. Norfolk State, they have a long history in basketball of being successful, but football hasn't quite been there, right? This is their first MEAC SWAC challenge, but you take it back even before that. They have one MEAC title, but that was taken away in 2011 due to some NCAA violations. So the actual last championship that they have, 1984. I wasn't even born yet. CIAA championship. They went into Winston-Salem and beat my Rams at the last minute. Coach Hayes was the head coach there. So that's the last time they won a conference championship. So Norfolk State University, this is a chance for their football program to brand itself. We know about their basketball program on the men's side. We're starting to learn about their basketball program on the women's side. And obviously Norfolk State, the Spartan Legion, for folks who are not on the East Coast, they've always been known on the East Coast, but they are becoming now known nationally for the great sound that they have. We heard a little bit of that earlier. They played, one of my favorite songs that they play is Searching by Glenn Jones. And so they have a really great sound, but that football program, in the last 40 years, they have not been able to build that, even with them being in that talent-rich area of the 757. That nice stadium that they have, over 30.
Dick Price Stadium.
Dick Price Stadium,
Yes,
30,000.
nice, yeah.
Since 30,000, they're kind of in that corner where there's kind of like it's in the South, but it's definitely basketball country. And so for them, I know this is a really a great chance for them to make a statement. This is not only their first MEAC SWAC challenge, but it's also their first time playing in Atlanta. So a huge platform for them being on that three-letter network.
Yes, we love to visit Dick Price Stadium. And by the way, when the Legion plays that Glenn Jones, the student section, it's great to see young people appreciate good music. That whole Spartan student section sings it very loud,
and they got great uniform. They got a great. I don't know if it's called a uniform for the band, but they really go deep on that Spartan theme with the gold.
Well, yeah,
helmets.
I was about to say when you get to third down and they play that scene from 300 up on the screen, that's pretty nice. I got to give them that. That's pretty nice when you got the Spartans on there. Yeah,
they'll be competing for a trophy, and a lot of people are competing for belts. And speaking of belts, we got that. Well, you know what? I can show you better than I can tell you. All right, so I don't know, Vaughn. We gotta hold this tight now since the Rattlers are here in Atlanta.
Yeah,
we gotta hold on this tight so that nobody swipes this from us, leaves out after they make a big play. But
listen, I have to shake people down at my house when they get ready to leave. I have to put eyes on my belt because everybody talks about how nice that is. Willie Simmons and his wife ordered one to memorialize last season, and that thing is heavy. That's what everybody's surprised at.
Definitely impressive. Definitely some gold plating on there too, and a nod to the Spartan Legion as well as the FAMU. So you guys can pick that up. Make sure the link will be in the description. So go ahead and get them, and we'll see who gets to get a championship belt next. But I know a lot of schools want them. I know a lot of schools in the SWAC probably want one of these too. So we'll see.
And we'll continue talking about the quarterback situation at FAMU, which was very that was quite a battle. And if you listen to Coach James Cosley, the quarterback battle is not over. They basically, Junior Miratovic has some starts for the Rattlers. He came in the game in 2021, FAMU's first game after the 2-year layoff for the COVID year. He came in behind to back up in the first game against Jackson State, that 7-6 game that was won by Shadur's lone touchdown, and FAMU had 2 field goals. Junior Miratovic actually came in that game and moved the offense. He started the next game, but in the end, Rashawn McKay took over as quarterback there. He was kind of predicted to be the incumbent for the next season, but in comes a guy with a rocket arm from Vanderbilt by the name of number 8 was Jeremy Musa. And he just put up remarkable numbers, but in that process last year against Lincoln University, Junior did get the start and got the win. So the conventional wisdom coming into this year that Junior would get the start. But a gunslinger from FAU checked in with the Rattlers, and we just found out last week in an interview, when he got in the portal, he watched the Celebration Bowl. And watching the Rattlers in the Celebration Bowl, he said that team has a winning culture, and it was one of the teams that had contacted him. So he decided to come to Florida A&M, and he's been really, really good in practice. Actually, Coach Cozy says both quarterbacks were really good, but last week, the kind of surprising news that Richardson would get the start, and the team is behind them. The quarterbacks are still have the battle going on. It's not settled. Cozy says that. So he says we'll definitely see Junior Mirotovic tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see how that quarterback battle shakes out at FAMU. Another interesting thing, on the depth chart for Norfolk State is a quarterback by the name of Cameron Sapp. He transferred from Florida A&M. So it's just an interesting quarterback scenario all around going for the MEAC SWAC Challenge. 7:30 tomorrow, Center Park Stadium. I just can't wait till they tee it up to smell the atmosphere of football, to hear the bands battling, to see the fans talking stuff, to see the tailgates, all that good stuff. And we're right here in the ATL, and there's plenty to do. I'm sure ATL is going to be popping tonight, and of course it's going to be popping tomorrow night after the game.
If they know how to do anything in the ATL, it is pop. And it is. We're also popping is the chat. So we got a couple comments in here. HBCU players that go with Patriots seem to do well. That's from my friend Carolyn Anderson. Patriots have had some success, including Livingstone's own Ben Coates. I know Dr. Anderson is a Livingstone alumna. There appear to be a lot of tickets remaining. Go get your tickets, folks. Yeah, go check that out. We got a VI Love from Corey Beard, back to running the SWAC. Okay, we see you. See someone wants the PVU belt.
They want you to move from in front of the A&T. They want you to move from in front of the A&T battle, Stephen. They say you're
if I knew where the trash can was, Troy, it would be there. But we'll see you September 7th. We ain't never scared. And before that, I will see the Aggies down the road from me over in at Wake Forest. So, man, look, we're gonna see what's what. But anyway, we'll keep it.
You know what I miss about the MEAC?
What's that?
Tailgating at North Carolina A&T. Man, they fed.
Oh, man, you're going to blow their heads up, man. It's all right.
Last time we went there, I was walking around with Bill Hayes, and everybody is stopping Bill Hayes, and we got on our full orange and green plates, just throwing plates at us. And then after the game, FAMU won. The player bus was right near the tailgate. And they told the players to get off, and they were giving them ribs and sausage sandwiches and everything. So North Carolina A&T, as far as the MEAC, they got the tailgating on lock now. Several teams in the SWAC that do a great job of tailgating as well. But I think definitely in the MEAC, that belt goes to North Carolina A&T.
Well, they're no longer in the MEAC, so now they get the CAA tailgate.
They get the CAA tailgate, yeah. But it's a great time of the year. We got this game popping off, and then next week will be week 1. So there's so much, everybody's happy. You get to a certain point in the season, and, it starts to get cold. You start seeing people fewer and fewer out. But that first month of the season and into homecoming season, you talk about North Carolina, it's nothing like it, where there's so many HBCUs there, and I'm sure, and so many other places. But no, we got wait a minute. Nah Saint says FAMU 40 plus, NSU 10. I mean, why give NSU anything at all? I mean, no. Let's see. CAA tailgate. Arthur Gaines. I like it. CAA tailgate comes with raisins in the potato salad. Wow.
Well, yeah. Well, they better hope it comes with some wins this year, more than one. Yeah, Vaughn, I'm really excited. What else do you what is the vibe in Tallahassee? I have to ask. Obviously, you guys won this Celebration Bowl the last time we were here for football. So many changes. How ready are people for people to actually get to the game after just these last 8 months?
I just think in Tallahassee, you get spoiled once you win a championship and host that trophy. You get spoiled, and you want to go back. The statement now is run it back cozy. I mean, everybody wants to get back to Atlanta and win another Celebration Bowl, but Cozy continues to say, hey, we got to our first game is against Norfolk State. We got to get past that one first. There are a lot of different parts. You got Coach Patterson is now the defensive coordinator who studied years under Coach Smitty Rock, Ryan Smith. You got Coach Joe Henry who studied years under Willie Simmons. So you have people who have developed under the system that Willie Simmons implemented, but now they get to put their own twist on it. Same thing with the head coach, Coach Cozy. This is definitely his team. His mark is all over it. The way they practice, just the things that they do. So what you're going to see from Florida A&M, what I see is going to happen is that humongous offensive line. FAMU has one of the biggest lines. I'm 6'3".
And I'm not.
And they make the sun go out when they walk by me. I'm smaller than any of the offensive linemen FAMU has, any of them. It's a huge line. So I think what you're going to see from FAMU is we're going to see an offense based around the run and pass. That's what I don't know if the FAMU fans are ready for that. But Cozy hangs his hat on last year at the Celebration Bowl, how the team ran the clock out, running the ball, as well as in the Orange Blossom Classic, where they took 9 minutes, the last 9 minutes of the game, to keep the ball away from Jackson State. Well, all of those guys from last year are back, and they bolstered it with some other guys and some even bigger guys. So I think FAMU will probably play more of a ball control offense than expected. They do have Richardson and a slew of weapons, and they can let it fly probably with the best of them. I look to see FAMU and listening to Cozy talk, I look to see them look more to control the game. And of course they're going to let it fly. That's exciting. But I really think they have almost 20 offensive linemen in camp. I think FAMU is going to make sure that their running game is stout this year. They got a slew of running backs. You got Bo Somerset who gets the start. You get the Celebration Bowl offensive MVP with Kelvin Dean. You got a transfer in from the University of Miami. I think FAMU will reinvigorate its running game and their concentration on that. Defense-wise, this defense is looking to make their own mark. The teams the last 2 years have been phenomenal, and I think this team doesn't want to be the ones to let it down. So I think we're going to see a very aggressive, and we'll see guys flying all around. Listen, looking at the credentials of both special teams, you might see some 60-yard punts and some 50-yard field goals tomorrow, which is important as well. We all know every point matters. So many games last year, Norfolk State lost by 1 score. So that could be a field goal, and extra points are very important when you're playing games that close. So looking to improve for Norfolk State, we'll have to look and see if quarterback, if Jalen can lead the team. Vaughn at running back, he's going to be strong. They got a good offensive line. So it could be a defensive battle. Beginning of the year, often you get defensive battles because the offenses just take a little longer to gel.
Yeah, you look at you talk about the running game. Obviously, Coach Odoms, he's a guy, he likes to run the ball, and the MEAC is generally looked at as the more physical league. between the two of them. So it'll definitely be interesting. Let's get to some of these comments. Let's see. So Will Davis says temperatures have cooled down a little in Atlanta. Feels like football. 27-10 FAMU. That is correct. I was at the Braves game last night when I got into town, man, and I was like, wow, this feels good. This feels like
it does
early.
Feel good up here.
This feels like early October. Look. Okay, so this feels like early October, so let's keep it going. This game versus Norfolk State will be a very easy game. FAMU will win by 24 points. I'm not even a FAMU fan. Troy from A&T says that their potato salad in Aggieland doesn't have raisins. Okay, you might be right on that. We'll give you that one. Fat Pat is a JSU alum. FAMU's DC. Okay. I thought they were talking about the rapper. Okay. Amanda says the Carolinas has food on lock, period. Traveling out of state for games and eating the food. And she gives some barfing emojis. Yeah. Depends. Let's see. And Arthur Grimes says, y'all be inviting them to the fans to the cookout. The line is so huge. I hope Daniels can see over them being 6'1". Daniels is 5'10" at QB. Yeah, but we've seen short quarterbacks have some success. You know who else is 5'10"?
Who's that?
Russell Wilson. I mean, this guy's not Russell Wilson, but he is 5'10". Troy says their fans bring few fans. The game starts, guys, 7:30. 7:30 Eastern Time, EST. Jalen is 5'10" at QB1 for a reason. Well, Otto Coons can't play, but hey, who's to say that Jalen Daniels, who is from California, he did get his start at his career at South Carolina as a walk-on, played at community college last year. We'll see what he can do. Can we talk about the new rules of college football season? Luke?
All right, I got you with the new rules. Okay. This year, the NCAA is implementing 2-minute warnings in NCAA football. As well, to speed up the games, last year they implemented not stopping the clock on first downs, but under 2 minutes, they will stop the clock on first downs. Also, horse collar tackles. Horse collar tackles within the tackle box were not actually illegal last year, but they are. They have clamped down on that because horse collar tackles lead to ankle and knee injuries. Sideline tablets, like the NFL, you would see them with the PCs on the sideline showing replays. Those are allowed in college this year. So I don't know how much you'll see it in HBCUs, but you might see it some. But they are allowed. Collaborative replay viewing systems. It allows more integration to get different angles for the referees. And also sideline interviews are allowed in college football now. Sideline interviews with coaches from networks is allowed now. So those are the major rule changes in the NCAA for this season. The horse collar, we got to get rid of all of those because it's just there are too many ACL and MCL injuries that come from horse collar tackles, and the clock stopping at the first down under 2 minutes, taking that away. They took it out to speed up the games because the games, when you got these networks running these long commercial breaks and then stopping the clocks for the first downs, so obviously they were not going to do anything to affect the money side, so they affected the play side by taking the timeouts for a first down to spot the ball and for the chain to move. And so those are the rule changes. Not a whole lot, but actually some different things to expect this year in this year's college football season.
Yeah, man. The only CL we want to hear about is CL Smooth at the alumni concert. So we got some comments still going on. So the band. So we get to the MEAC SWAC challenge. So there's a home team and away team, and it goes back and forth. And I believe that the MEAC is the home side this year. as they were the visitor side last year. But Solji says the home side is the tiny side. It was sold out since May. We had to get seats on the NSU side. It's if you've ever been to the MEAC SWAC Challenge, it is not only just the teams that are there, but also the other schools that are from the conference, as well as just other HBCU folks. Again, I know a lot of folks from the CIAA and the SIAC, they come as well. It may be the MEAC SWAC Challenge, but just like the Celebration Bowl, it's something where if you're in Atlanta, which is a huge hub for HBCUs, it is, it's the place to be early in the season to kick things off. Really starts the season. Will Davis says SWAC is the away team. FAMU sold out the visitor side. The Rattlers are taking over Norfolk State. That's where I'm sitting. Now, the visitors do start out sitting in the sun, I believe. So, but hey, it doesn't feel it again.
It's
it feels
not bad
pretty good.
today.
Yeah. So, woo. I'm sorry, Tali, we didn't add that sound effect, so I did it myself. We got an upset alert. Braden Matthews says NSU with the win. I think this will be a close game. Again, there's so many things that we don't know, so many variables. I could definitely see it being a close game. How Vaughn, I'm going to put you on the spot. How will Rattler Nation respond to a loss to Norfolk State? Because you got to flip it. The team's going to flip over quickly, but are they prepared for a loss?
Probably not. A loss would put a lot of pressure on everyone. There was a big push by alumni, fans, and friends to keep the system in place that had been built under the Willie Simmons era. And I think, even with the turmoil and that it was delayed in coming in, people expect and have invested in that system continuing. I think it would definitely be a blow to FAMU, but with it being an out-of-conference game, everything that they wanted to set out for the season would still be in front of them. The ability to win the SWAC and to host the SWAC championship and stuff, all of that will still be in front of them. But it would be a sore spot that would put pressure on them until they were able to get back home next week and welcome Chennis Berry to Bragg Stadium as the South Carolina State Bulldogs come into Tallahassee, which is going to be a highly anticipated game, even though Berry had to rebuild a team almost from the ground up with the passing the torch from Buddy Pugh. But Buddy's been right by his side, helping him and assisting him to rebuild that, whatever he needs. And so, it would be a blow. It would be a blow, just like I said, because you get spoiled. Success spoils people. And without losing an FCS game at all last year, and the year before, the only one being a loss to Jackson State, which was truly a turmoil situation and just got accented by a great Jackson State team. The Rattler Nation is absolutely not accustomed again to losing FCS games. And so it would be a blow. It would be a setback. And it would also bring in the reality that repeating as a champion and continuing to play at a high level is not a given. No team is going to roll down for you because you're FAMU. You're going to have to go out there and play to win. So if they don't put up a good show, Dawson Odoms and his boys are hungry. They're trying to prove themselves, and that team poses a threat to you because they got nothing to lose.
Yeah, no doubt. Finished fifth in their conference, and I saw someone in the chat said, Vaughn looked like that. I'm going to stay professional. Of course he is going to stay professional. That's why I asked him, but I know he has the pulse on FAMU football and because what is a successful season? What are the expectations? We all know the hopes. The hopes are always going to be the championship, but what's a successful season for you guys this year?
Well, let me just say this. Today
what is a successful season in Tallahassee? What is still going to be championship? Is it championship or bust?
I don't think so, but the team can't retrograde to pre-Willie Simmons of a type season. I think there will be some grace for Colsey, but their expectations are high for this season. Like me, and speaking of me, to answer that question, yes, I'm in here. It's a Friday. I'm obviously the FAMU, Florida and South Georgia reporter for HBCU Gameday, so I'm able to wear this Rattler gear. But when it comes to Saturday, I'm always neutral. I never wear the colors of either team. I'm there as a professional journalist, and that's kind of a difficult task that I'm tasked with. But I am there to be objective, and whatever happens, and that's what we're going to promote. And so, it's a daunting task at times. The only time I'm very, very difficult to stay neutral is when we play Bethune-Cookman. But, they know me at Bethune-Cookman. We love the Wildcats, except for them 4 hours we play in the Florida Classic. But I just really love HBCU football like beyond belief. Like, I'm looking to see what Edward Waters is going to do this year. I'm looking to see what Quinn Gray and Albany State's going to do. I'm looking to see what Florida Memorial. They had a resurgence last year like you wouldn't believe. But I'm telling you, Toriano Morgan and Brian Jenkins, with those two brains over there at Edward Waters, and look like they got some really good players in, the SIAC is going to be very interesting this year because the Chinnisberry's gone. It's wide open. The monkeys on Quinn Gray's back in Albany with their brand new field, by the way. Right. And we're here at CAU. They got a brand new field. A lot of new fields around.
The Thundercats are loose. I'm sorry. Whenever I see the Thundercats, it just what I love the Thundercats. So, I think it's going to be a great season. Like I said, there's so many. To me, in every HBCU conference, I feel like there are at least 3 schools that if we got to the end of the year and you told me they're the champion, I really wouldn't be surprised because I think there's that amount of parity. As we continue on, we'll go back to the comments really quickly. Ask, are FCS using headphones in QBs and linebackers? Do you know that, or you need? Only one player on the field at a time can have a communication device on. So and they have to be identified. So it's strict rules for the new allowing those communication devices on the field. So some of these will evolve, and we'll have to see how they take shape and how they affect the game. Right. Okay, no doubt. So we got a couple more. Norfolk State, I don't know, man. Maybe we just had to pull this sucker out of here. We got NSU winning 24-20 by Sports Minds. Amanda MBS says NSU 24, FAMU 21. Sports Minds says rebuild. South Carolina State has plenty of returning players, especially on offense. They do. Did lose a running back over to the University of South Carolina, as well as some other guys, but they do have some excellent offensive linemen. Nick Tace is a guy to keep your eye on there. Someone asked, did they get in trouble for smoking cigars in the stadium?
Who? The Rattlers at the Celebration Bowl?
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't see any problem, but I saw a lot of cigars. It was like up in smoke tour. So let's see. We have to play. It's so true. South Carolina State upsets. And we got a prediction. South Carolina State upsets and ends FAMU home game winning streak next Saturday. They are confident. Have not played a game under Chinnisberry, but they're confident. I mean, hey, he's the type of guy that inspires confidence in you. I know that's the scary thing. I mean, you hear Chinnisberry do the pregame speeches, and I ain't put on a pad in years, but boy, he's one of those coaches that he doesn't have to have the best players.
You might have a COVID year, Vaughn.
No, man, I ain't getting out there. And somebody asked if we were having any live coverage. Yes, after the game, Stephen and I, from the field, we'll do a post-game show, wrap up to talk all about the game. So look right back at this space tomorrow. We don't know what time because we don't know how long the game is going to last. The starting time says 7:30, but the television starting time is 7:44. So you got like 14 more minutes to finish up them beverages in the car before you run in the stadium. But whenever that game finishes, it is on ABC, so you know the commercial breaks are going to be long. And so, but whenever that game finishes, Stephen and I will do a wrap-up from Center Park Stadium. It'll be HBCU Game Day's first of the year. We're looking forward to it. And you mentioned CAU, and I just got to tell you all, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our social medias at HBCU Game Day. And also take sometime to read the articles. We spend a lot of time writing.
A lot.
A lot of time writing, unlike a lot of platforms that just are able to just go on and go live or to do videos, pre-produced videos. We write a lot. And one of the stories that we're really proud, we love all the stories, but one of the stories we're really proud of is that Clark Atlanta got more applications this year than the University of Georgia.
Yeah.
Clark Atlanta, little Clark Atlanta University, 4,000 plus enrollment, got more applications than any school in Georgia, including the University of Georgia Bulldogs. We take pride in it because Dr. French is going to say what he's supposed to say.
Right.
That it's a great academic program and everything at CAU is great, especially that, I think they call them the corral. I call them the choir, but that's wrong. But that corral at Clark Atlanta is phenomenal. But also one reason we take pride in it, there it is right there up on the screen. Thank you, Tolly, back there, our producer extraordinaire. We know as well as CAU's reputation, their spark plug has got to be Dr. Daniel Black's commencement address, the best one we've ever seen. And we were happy to be able to bring that first, probably to anybody. And today it sits at over 500,000 views. But if you ever go to that video and read the comments, it's heartwarming. It's almost like he just brought us home. So shouts out to Clark Atlanta University for all of those elements that came together for an HBCU to have the most 46,000 applications. Boy, that admissions office is probably really great.
Yeah, man, they might start chain smoking over there. I don't know. But yeah, it's amazing. There's a lot of momentum now. You talk about Clark Atlanta. You talk about Livingstone College just got there. They had the $10 million donated last month, and then this month they got another $8 million. So,
right.
The private schools continue to really have a resurgence. Obviously, we've got Kamala Harris, who's now the officially the Democratic nominee for the presidency, and just coming off the DNC there. A lot of momentum there. So HBCUs are everywhere, including right here in Atlanta, which is really kind of a heart and an epicenter for HBCUs. So it's a pleasure to be here, and it's a great time to be covering HBCUs, not only in the sports field, but also if you guys go to our coverage, you'll see a lot of stuff in academics, as well as the philanthropy around it. And we're going through a renaissance, and I expect that we'll see more schools that will continue to have record applications, especially, unfortunately, due to some of the things that have gone on in the Supreme Court, as well as we start to roll on through. We've got some shout outs for Clark Atlanta. Soul G says he plans to catch a game on the red carpet. Okay, we got a prediction of NCCU, the 2024 Celebration Bowl champs. They are predicted to win the MEAC, not Howard. Howard folks feel some kind of way about it. They got a little chip on their shoulder. To me, that just says that Howard still has not gotten off the stigma of 100+ years of neutrality. Sometimes some people would say in athletics, but they've been pretty stellar in recent years.
And we know Trey is no stranger to pushing for his school. He's a great coach, and he's another motivator, and it'll be interesting to see how the MEAC plays out this year. But Tyler, give me one camera. I need to talk to everybody who's watching this broadcast. If you're watching this broadcast, I hope you already have your voter registration card and you're preparing to go out and vote. This year is my 40th year as a voter. in 40 years I missed one vote. The reason is because when I grew up, they showed the films in school of blacks being hosed with water hoses, with dogs sicked on them, and the struggles that we had to earn the opportunity to vote. So every time you don't vote, you are disrespecting our ancestors who made ultimate sacrifices for us to have the opportunity to vote. So I have a PSA. I did a PSA, and I'm doing everything I can. Get out and vote. We can't waste opportunities to get better, especially for our HBCUs. Our voting block has to be respected. So we have got to get out and vote, get 5 people and take them to the polls with you. It is very, very important that we get out and vote. Now, we're not going to tell you who to vote for. You can just kind of guess who I'm voting for. But
well, we are a for-profit, so we can't tell you who to vote for.
We can't.
I damn sure know who I'm not voting for.
Right. So as far as HBCUs, we have an HBCU alum who, if anybody understands us, she does. And Kamala Harris and everything she said to bring some civility back to this nation. We really need her in. You know, think about it. The Supreme Court basically told Donald Trump that no matter what he did as president, he was absolved of responsibility. So you want to put that guy back in charge, knowing that at the front of the term? I don't think so.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No, it's you talk about voting. I haven't been voting quite that long, but I know for me, when I think about voting, I think about my grandmother. She's just old enough to where the first time she was eligible to vote, there was no Voting Rights Act, so she couldn't vote. So, as soon as she could, she always instilled that in me to do that. So I'll definitely be making sure that my vote is heard. I'm voting for Kamala. Stop playing.
Right.
But seriously, there's so many other races, and I think watching the DNC this week, and we didn't plan on this, but since we're here,
right.
It was so great that you saw how much HBCUs are involved in the fabric of America. We got Kamala Harris, obviously, but we got an article up on HBCUGameday.com. I talked about some of the ties, whether it's Jim Clyburn, who's from South Carolina State University, the senator from Jackson State University, one of the handful of black senators ever. And then there is also in Delaware, someone else that I'd like to shout out to. She is Lisa Blunt Rochester. She is not an HBCU grad, but her father is a former Winston-Salem State University basketball player and really helped Joe Biden on his run in Delaware. Ted Blunt, he's a former president of the Wilmington, Delaware City Council, and her daughter is also an HBCU alumnus as well. So it's really great to see how HBCUs are impacting it. So, a lot of times people will tell us that, if you go to HBCU, your degree is less than, and I think, these men and women have proven that is not the case. And it's great to have folks who are going to be in there that are going to fight for us. So, do your research, but everybody please, go there and because there's so much at stake this November. So,
and we are about HBCU Game Day. It's about sports and culture.
Right.
So this is the other side of us. We love sports, and everybody knows us for sports. But with HBCU 101 and all of our writings on our website, we explore the culture just as much as we do with sports.
No doubt about it. As we get ready to roll on, it says someone is recognized as a common application. And yes, there is a common application, but everybody doesn't
have to designate the school that you.
Everybody doesn't have 46 applications. I'm sorry, 46,000.
46,000. Yeah,
trust me. I'm trying to chip some over to another school that wears red, but nah, it's definitely important. Beyonce hitting the stage. Oh no, there was no Beyonce. There was no Beyonce. Not the DNC. So, Vaughn,
there's some threats if you don't vote for Harrison. We're gonna let them stay in the comment section. But we're about 24 hours away, a little over 24 hours away from the first game of the 2024 HBCU football season. The Norfolk State Spartans, led by Dawson Odoms will face off against new FAMU head coach James Cosley III, who's taking over for Willie Simmons, who's now at Duke University, the reigning Celebration Bowl champions. Two teams with a lot to prove on the first day. Let's be honest. The Spartans have to prove that they are improving, and the Rattlers have to prove that they can maintain the success over the last couple of years, especially last year, where the only loss was to an FBS school, and it was very close.
No doubt about it. As I guess we'll go ahead and start wrapping up here. But yeah, definitely, it's again, it's exciting just to have it back. There's so much that's going on, and obviously we cover more than just HBCU football. We have a lot of coverage of basketball. Oh, okay.
Oh, the question is, does the new president know the Rattler chant? You best believe by the time pregame starts next week, he will have it down pat. He's a very energetic guy. We had him at the 220 quarterback club last week. You know, there was a lot of tension about things going on at FAMU, but he quickly eased that. And he's very spirited, and he's a president who completely values athletics. We know that's a rarity. You know, the last time when I come in here, I get in trouble, you know, because, last time I came in here, I was talking about schools that might need to drop athletics because they weren't serious about it. But Florida M president, Dr. Timothy Beard, who replaced Dr. Larry Robinson, who resigned, he will have that charge down pat before the South Carolina State game. He's working on it. I saw a preview of it, and I think it'll be exciting. You know, that Rattler charge, a lot of people have seen it, and, you know, they know the end, strike, and strike again. It started way back in the 50s with the president back there named President Gore. But it was made famous, and the whole charge was written by Dr. Frederick Humphreys, who was Tennessee State. He graduated from FAMU. He was president at Tennessee State, and then when he came back to FAMU, he penned this dramatic thing, and nobody could say it like him. It was drama, straight up drama, when he said that. So, and the Rattler Nation really just loves it, and people, and with Tolly's urging in the back, I will not do it because it's reserved for the president of the university to do. And I don't want to get back and have any issues. So we're going to save that for Dr. Beard. And next week, next Saturday in Tallahassee against South Carolina State with Chennis Berry in the house, you'll be able to see that. But
yeah, take that, Chennis Berry. I'm just kidding, Coach Berry. Shout out to Coach Berry. Nah, he's great. You know, as we're getting ready to close, before we get off here, I did want to take some time just to briefly recognize us that we did lose someone in the HBCU community over in the East, definitely known on the East Coast. His name is Joseph Daniels. He passed away yesterday. Longtime photographer for the Carolina Peacemaker, which is a black-owned media outlet. He's a graduate of North Carolina Central University. He shot the colleges, HBCUs, and high school for over 50 years. And a part of a fraternity of black photographers that is has now been able to branch off into other things. But Vaughn, I know you shoot, I shoot as well. There were times where we were only being able to go to our institutions and to HBCUs to get this type of thing to cover sports. And so just wanted to send our condolences to his family, as well as the CIAA family. I know he was the director of photography at the CIAA for a long time. Really quickly, back in 2014, when I was just getting started before I bought my first professional camera, and game day was in its early stages, I went out onto the court sideline with my iPad, taking up space on the baseline, and he politely let me know that I had to have a proper camera for it. And after some understanding, I went out and bought my first camera. So who knows how things would be different for me if there was no Joseph Daniels. So, but no, he's a great guy, great man, and really loved not only his HBCUs, but all HBCUs, and documented them. So he'll be missed, and condolences out to his family, his wife, and everyone that will miss him. Some of these names where, you see folks like yourself and myself on the camera, in front of a camera, and you know these, but there are some people who never step from behind that camera, but they are very important in documenting the story of HBCUs, and they were doing it before it was fashionable. So I feel like it's only right that we pay him some respect.
And they brought up some of they mentored. He brought up and mentored some of the younger guys under him that have gone on to be great. Kevin Dorsey down at A&T, and Mark Sutton Digital, and all of those guys were mentored by him, and so his legacy will live on. We're gonna miss him, but it's great to listen to guys like that and their stories. Always at the MEAC basketball tournaments or on the sideline anywhere. All the photographers for the HBCUs would always get together. And so our condolences go out to the family and to the nation. Yeah, thumbs up, guy. Great guy. You know, every time you saw him, he was in a good mood, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, just last time I think the last time I saw him might have been the CIAA tournament again. He kind of roamed those sidelines for a long time, making sure everybody had spots, and making sure that there was order. I think in this day and age where now everybody being a photographer and getting a camera is so accessible and everybody can call themselves a photographer, it can kind of be easy to kind of be siloed and maybe, you know, you see, you know, someone who's older, someone who's younger, and they kind of stay off to each other. But it's great how, you know, he always was willing, if you go and talk to him, and he was, you know, turned out to be a great mentor. And, you know, and he really has some really great things that you can learn from those who came out ahead of you. So, yeah, it's just a really, you know.
And you know, everybody call themselves a photographer because we got these nice digital cameras, but he was one of the last ones to switch over to digital from film. He just, you know, he just was not confident. He stayed with film much longer than everybody else, but
got busy in the dark room, you know. So he paid it honest, you know. So definitely he will be missed. But Vaughn, I think we're running a little over time.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
We'll go ahead and I'll let you take us out.
All right, tomorrow at 7:30, Center Park Stadium, we kick off the HBCU football season. The Norfolk State Spartans against the Florida A&M Rattlers, two teams that finished in opposite positions last year, but that was that year. We're in a brand new year. Everybody's undefeated. So we will have to watch for 60 minutes tomorrow to see, are the Spartans improving? Have the Rattlers retain their swag? We will find out. And Stephen and I will be with you tomorrow after the game. You're trying to start something right before we leave. Stephen and I will be live from the field, Center Park Stadium. After the game, we'll go live from the turf with our full analysis of what happened. And I guess nobody's in here, but I'm going to duck. Go ahead, Steve.
We got your flag. Maybe if you let Hampton perform, shots
fired.
Maybe if you let Hampton perform at homecoming, maybe this inspire you to do that in that HBCU spirit. I'm just messing with you. Shout out to the Blue and Gold Marching Machine. I do have a lot of respect for those guys. They are great. We'll see if they make it back to Atlanta this year. It's going to be stiff competition for that, for sure. So,
yeah. And on that note, Stephen, it's been a great kickoff show. Thank you all for joining us, each and every one who chimed in or decided to tap into us this afternoon. And I know some of you all are already in Atlanta, so you know you got to get to the Soul Food, your favorite restaurant in Atlanta, before you hit your favorite club tonight. You know, it's a night game, so you can party tonight.
Yeah, it is. We do got a little runway, so we'll see what's up.
All right, on behalf of the crew, our director, producer extraordinaire, Tolly Carr, behind the scenes, he's normally up here. But thank you, Tolly, for the great work today. It's MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff weekend here in Atlanta. Tomorrow, 7:30 at Center Park Stadium. We'll see. We'll see what happens as we kick it off. MEAC versus SWAC, and it continues.